Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
As you listen to this, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is out in theaters. I don't know that I feel like, are we excited about it or we're more worried about it? This is a big deal.
I
should
think
be a
we should.
Deal.
I feel as we should take a moment in silent prayer and just be like, oh, come on, just do this right.
It is so weird that we record this early and release it a few days later, just because we're still in that place where we're praying that it's good and hoping for the best. But by the time people are hearing this, word's out. They know.
We are in a world. We're in a pre-Indy 5 world. You people are in a post-Indy 5 world. You probably can't avoid spoilers right now. It's a good thing you're listening to the show instead. But yeah, it's a Schrodinger's cat thing right now for us. It's this could be a very dead cat, or it could
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm seeing it Thursday night so that there's no chance I'm being spoiled.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny, in this day and age, I feel like there's got to be something. Every movie seems to have, there is something unexpected or blah, blah, blah. I'm assuming we're getting something like that. I don't know what it is.
I just keep praying for that Shia LaBeouf cameo. I just hope it's in there.
What if it's spoilers, what if it's as chock full of cameos as The Flash is? Nicolas Cage is going to be in there, and just the whole
Short Round is going to show up.
I hope Short Round is in there.
God, that would be so awesome.
That would be awesome, but I don't see it. But
you got to do something.
If he was, we would have seen it by now.
Why would we? Did we see any of the other things?
Oh no, somebody would have spoiled it. It's. Yeah.
I'm hoping not. I hope I live in a world where we could avoid that crap.
They could have put a phone call to him in there or something like that. They could have even really, really late in production. They could have done that. So
they could have shot a whole scene.
Yeah.
All these days, all you need is a green screen. That's all you need.
Oscar winner Ki Hung Kwang, or if I'm butchering his name, I'm sorry. Did Harrison Ford ever win a Best Actor Oscar?
I don't think so.
No.
There you go. So anyway, we're anticipating that, and hopefully, and I don't care if it's what the reviews say or Rotten Tomatoes or any of that stuff, because the reviews are out now. It's you listeners having seen it. Hopefully, well, you won't have seen it. Probably depends when you listen to this. Hopefully, you see it Thursday. So that's all.
And we will be talking about it at length, with full spoilers next episode.
Next week, so. Absolutely. So see it.
Possibly crying in our drinks. So
you never know. You never know.
Speaking of crying, and this was not on my list, but it's something I just a half hour ago watched the episode of Hot Ones with Jennifer Lawrence eating the hot wings.
I did too. I watched that the other day. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Her nose was running. She was crying, hysterical.
I don't watch that often. I've watched it a handful of times, but her reaction was very extreme. Yet she still plowed through. She made it through. Everything.
It was a hot sauce called The Bomb, which the guy even said this is the worst, most horrific hot sauce on the planet.
Yet it was number 8.
They do it number 8,
10.
so that but they do it in that order, I guess, because even though it's not the hottest, it's just gross.
Todd, do you know what this show is?
I know what the show is. I actually the only I saw part of the episode with Jenna Ortega. But that's
I just watched it because Jennifer Lawrence is lovely. But
I love Jennifer Lawrence, and you want to know? I give her a ton of credit for doing something like that. She's literally liquids dripping from eyes, her nose, her mouth. There's stuff, and she's still. And I gotta say, that guy asks really good questions.
Really good questions, yes. And at one point, she was drinking from the cup of water. She was drinking from the cup of soda. At one point, she picked up the pitcher and was just drinking directly from the pitcher. It was pretty funny.
I know, but so yeah, that guy is good, and he definitely, like I said, he asks her good questions. I don't know if I'm going to theaters to see it, but that movie sounds hilarious.
The trailers look hilarious.
Yeah.
If there were some way for that movie to show up magically in a way for me to watch it this weekend, I would be so excited.
Because we just don't have these irreverent just wrong movies anymore. You know,
she has a topless fight scene in it, apparently.
R-rated comedy kind of thing. We just don't have that anymore.
I love the premise. I just love the premise.
I do too. So anyway, and I love anything Jennifer Lawrence is great. Oscar winner Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes.
That's right.
Anyway, let's do some random. That was random, but let's do
that
more
was very random. I'm
Todd,
sorry.
what do you got?
Okay. Star Trek Prodigy. Man.
Yeah, I knew you would. It was on my list, but I knew you would go there.
We had texted about it. So it is like, not only did like Paramount axe it, but they pulled it.
Because they're using it as a tax write-off.
That's the new thing everyone's doing. It's it started with Warner Brothers with the Batgirl and all that stuff. Everything's because with streaming there's this lifespan of it, and if they pull it off, they could take a tax credit.
But here's the thing, Dave, and I don't know if you read into this or not, but so season 1 is done. It aired 20 episodes. Season 2 is another 20 episodes. Is like 90% done.
It's in like post production. They're doing the final.
It's not even like it's in the middle of production. It's essentially, for all intents and purposes, it's done.
Somebody said they're doing music. Okay, I mean it's.
Well, I guess the numbers could add up to it could save them more than they've spent.
They said that they're shopping to see if they can find a new home for it, so it could end up somewhere. And there's a change.org petition out already with 15,000 signatures to bring
I
it
can't
back.
imagine they're not going to find some place to have it drop. But
the question becomes, can they... They'll only do it if they can make more money by... if their tax write-off is larger than the payday they'll get for selling it somewhere else, they'll probably
It's
just
all
bury
about
it.
the money, these scumbags. I'm sorry you overspent for the past 5-10 years, and now you're in giant holes.
But this is Kate Mulgrew is in this thing. Okay, it's like, what did they just tell her? Like, we're not going to air that thing that you committed to do, that Star Trek
and
thing?
I was hesitant. I avoided it till well after it had actually aired. Todd kept telling me it was worth watching, and I did finally watch it, and it was actually way better than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a little kid's show, and it wasn't.
It's not great. It's better than the worst Star Wars series, not anywhere near in the ballpark of the better ones.
But it's honestly, in my opinion, it's better than the last 2 seasons of Discovery.
I will agree with that. Yeah.
So it's not the worst Star Trek out there right now.
No, it's not. And if you look at it from we have thunder overhead. If you look at it from a kid-centric perspective, it's very approachable. It's like I said,
the story that they set up for season 2 actually would have been really interesting. So
I was interested in what they're going to do with season 2, and I am disappointed. And I will run right over to change.org and
I signed the petition, and it takes a lot to get me to do anything.
Okay,
like that.
That's what you. That's what
I will
you
do
signed
that.
Something.
But
for?
I just found, like I said, I found that the not ordering another season thing would make sense to me, but the idea that there's another season in the queue, and they just but
it's all about money these days.
Yep.
Barry, what do you got?
So we texted about this like 2 weeks ago and never really talked about it, so I'm going to go through it real quick. But Disney has changed their theatrical release schedule for a bunch of their properties. So there are now 3 Star Wars movies on their official release schedule. May 26, December 26, and December 27. We don't know what these movies are.
I don't know, and I'm sorry to... And I read that, and I meant to bring it up, but for the life of me, why would they put 2 Star Wars movies 6 months
in the same
apart?
year. I know.
Again.
I was going to say, they've never tried that before.
They literally said that was one of the reasons why
they absolutely
Solo failed.
They did it with Solo, and it was didn't work out so well.
You think that they're expecting only one of them is going to ultimately be there?
Why would they announce 3 dates at all if they thought they all
Why do they announce they have deals with in development with 18 directors?
That's what I'm saying. It's like...
All right, well... I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I don't want this. We could do this forever.
Let's talk about The Last Jedi for just 1 second.
Just for 1 more minute, yeah. So then the next thing that they shifted is their Avatar release schedule. The next Avatar was supposed to come out December 2024. It pushed out a whole year to December 2025. Then the Avatar 4 is 3 years after that in 2029. and Avatar 5 is 3 years after that in 2031. They actually have a release schedule for Avatar that goes to 2031.
And Zoe Saldana's like, I'll be in my 50s by then. I watched it when it was finally on whatever Disney Plus I get. I'm glad I didn't see that in the theaters. It was okay.
I saw it in the theaters. It was fine. It was fine.
Who cares?
It was okay.
It's a cartoon now. At least
totally. Okay. I will say this. I will say they got to come up with another plot. Okay.
Now it's water. What is it going to be? Underground?
That's
people?
what I'm saying. So the next one's in the desert. I mean, what are they going to do? And
he just wants to show cool stuff. It just draws. I don't get it. It was
the
fine.
Underwater of it all was impressive, but it needs to be more to it than that.
I felt in the old ones there was way more. Here's the real world, and here's the Avatar world, and I was looking for someone to go back. Now they've just morphed into their avatars or whatever, and they could procreate. Like, who cares? I'm sorry it makes so much money.
Moving on. Maybe the most interesting thing here is their Marvel release schedule. A bunch of stuff shifted. I'll go through it real quick. Deadpool 3 actually moved up, so that's now May in 2024 instead of November. Everything else pushed out. So Captain America Brave New World moved from May 24 to July 24. It's not that big of a shift. Thunderbolts moved from July 24 to December 24. So there's 3 Marvel movies in 24. Deadpool, Captain America, and Thunderbolts. Then Blade moved out from September 24 to February 25. Fantastic Four moved from February 25 to May 25. And Avengers Kang Dynasty moved out from May 25 to May 26. So there's also 3 movies in 25. And then Avengers Secret War moved from May 26 to May 27. I'm really going to be shocked if this Kang Dynasty stuff even happens.
I hate that people commit to stuff for so far in the future, and I don't know if they don't see it, but Kang, no one gives a shit. He's no bad guy. You better retool that and come up with something better.
Well, so the other interesting thing is that the fact that they moved stuff out of 24 or out of 25. So right now, I said I misspoke. There's only 2 movies right now on the calendar for 25. And the speculation is that that's where they're going to slot in Spider-Man 4. So in 25, we would get Fantastic Four, Spider-Man 4, and Blade. Because where else are they going to put it?
It'll all change again. Meanwhile, Tom Holland says he's taking a year off.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting how, the writer's strike's going to affect certain things. Actors allegedly doing things that aren't good are going to affect things like, when you bank an entire, storyline and an entire phase on a character and an actor.
They could recast that character in a second. And
I think you're right. I think they could.
I think, do they realize that no one sees that as a big bad guy? The guy
also, we've got Loki season 2 coming this year, and I'm wondering how involved Kang is in that story.
Hugely, and I think that's going to be the thing. It's like how what can they do with that? That's either going to make him seem like a big bad, or because right now all we've kind of had is like teasers for Kang, and I don't know.
The guy in Guardians seemed like more of a big bad guy than he seemed.
And the thing you have to wonder, and we can either choose to talk about it or not talk about it this week, but by all accounts, Flash is a bit of a disaster. Like, we all liked it, but it's not doing well, right?
No, that was one of my things.
And you have to wonder
20 in the box
Jonathan
office.
Majors stuff. Like, again, it's all alleged, but if it turns out that they aren't going to continue with him, is it more of a liability to keep that character in their storylines than it would be to recast him, or do you just replace? Do you have to just go back to the drawing board with some of this?
I'm hoping they go with the Kong Dynasty, and it's all about King Kong.
There
or
you
Donkey
go.
Kong.
Or
The Super
Donkey
Mario
Kong.
movie was a big hit. They could
Yeah.
put Donkey Kong in there.
While you're talking about Flash, they did do crappy box office, but if you're listening to this show and you have not seen The Flash, go see it. It's worth going to see.
It's at 210 million after its second weekend worldwide, and they're projecting if it's lucky, it'll end at 310 before it gets pulled out of theaters.
I really don't get it. It's really good. I don't know what people have issues with stupid things about it. We don't need to go down the whole road. We talked
Right,
about
but
that.
also it's how many tries do you give the DC universe? Okay, I think people just they've lost interest.
I think I have a different take on it, slightly different take on it, and some of this is not my original thought, but this is after reading a bunch of stuff. Like, they've been public about the fact that this movie essentially doesn't mean anything because we know we're not continuing on. So, is it the Ezra Miller of it all that people were like, I don't want to see it, maybe, maybe not, or was it more that people they know it's irrelevant? So
but that's the other thing. Why does everything happen? Why can't a movie that's took years to make and hundreds of millions of dollars just be a movie? This whole has to tie
could
into
be,
everything.
except that superhero movie, the entire superhero movie going public is trained to believe that these things are all tied together.
By
and
Marvel,
when they're
who's
out
been
there
letting us
telling
down.
you, but when they're out there telling you, we are starting over, but we've still got 3 movies left that are coming out that actually don't tie to anything in the future, but please go see them.
I think they talk too much.
Yeah,
You know, why announce all this stuff?
I also think that the Snyderverse has a small vocal cult attached to it that basically turned their back on this film. So,
And I would argue, if anything, they should go see it because it's more
I
tied
agree.
to the Snyderverse
I
than I
agree
really
entirely,
thought it
but
would be.
this is they're thumbing their nose at DC. I read a
Yeah.
couple articles about this.
I think there's a lot going on here. A lot of the articles that I read said that with all the late night talk shows not being on the air, like there was really no promotion other than the ad campaign for this thing.
And
even if it was, they weren't going to put Ezra Miller on.
how do you promote it when you
talk
won't
show.
let this guy out of a box?
Right.
They were at the premiere. I don't know. It's a shame that, it's a good movie. It's a good 2 hours for your $15. It's a lot of fun, but it's like, does everything have to mean something else? I just think we've gotten to this point where the companies are doing it. Do we have to make, well, if this doesn't tie into this and the 10 things before it, then is it worth my seeing? Like, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's way too much. Speaking of Indiana Jones, I was just watching it. I watched Star Trek and then I watched the first part of Raiders. Do you know in the first scene, Belloc takes his whip and then Indy runs and Belloc is still holding the whip? Is that, how many whips, does he have a closet full of whips? What do you think?
No,
I
bullwhips
think
are a dime a dozen.
I would say logically he's got more than one. Yeah.
But why? So I think the feeling is he's got multiple guns. We know that because Belloc took his gun. He's always losing his gun, and Belloc took his whip. But is that like the same hat all the time?
Oh, it's always the same hat. I mean,
It's always the same hat, and I feel like it's always the
risk
same
your arm
jacket.
to save that hat, it's always the same hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting because I did listen to give a plug. There's I've talked about this podcast, James Bonding podcast. They talk about the James Bond movies. They're also Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So they've been doing Indiana Jonesing, and they've talked about all 4 movies. And I just listened to a couple of them over the weekend. But they do agree. They're rating things 0 to 007 based on their James Bonding, and everyone on the show gave it a 7. Like we all gave it a 10. Raiders of the Lost Ark. But there's some funny stuff in there. There's not that it takes away from the movie, but there's definitely some weird stuff if you really dig into that. Like when Brody comes over, he's already got a bottle. He's already got champagne in a glass, and supposedly the logistics of going through the scene where he tells him and opening champagne was way too much, so they decided just to have it open. Just stupid things like that. But anyway.
So this is another totally random, wasn't even on my list, but when you mentioned whips, it made me think. I watched a movie over the weekend from 1950 called Storm Warning with Doris Day, Ronald Reagan, and Ginger Rogers.
Well, who made you do that? Your parents?
No,
And where did the whips come in?
So it's a movie about the Ku Klux Klan, and Ginger Rogers, towards the end of the movie, runs afoul of them, and they capture her, and they torture her. They whip her at a Klan rally. It's a messed up movie.
What
let me tell you.
Thing? Is it and it's a musical?
No, it's not a musical.
Where did you get musical?
Well, Ginger Rogers.
Ginger
How many
Rogers.
Movies of Ginger Rogers in that's not a musical?
Maria had the movie on. I walked in the room, and then she left, and I kept it on because I needed to see where this was going. And it was crazy. She got punched in the face. She got karate chopped to the neck. She got dragged to a Klan rally. And when she said she was going to turn them in, two guys held her arms and they whipped her with a bullwhip. It was
just
crazy.
like what's his face in Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
Casper Van
1950.
Dien.
I do recommend it. It was an interesting movie, and a movie that crazy that it was made at the time it was made in black and white movie 1950. Pretty crazy though.
All right. Does anyone have any more random?
I have more, but I'm going to stop there.
Okay, good. Just a quick note, and I don't think we talked about it. The Prop Star auction is this week. It's over by the time you're listening to this.
That was one of the things I had on my list.
If you've got anything even movie related, just bring it out, because there's people just looking under boxes in their garage and pulling shit out to put in auctions. It's just amazing how the prices, everything's in. Did you see those that John Dykstra lightsaber that we bought is in there?
Yeah. For like
$1,000 estimate?
Yeah. You know, I pointed that out when I was going through the catalog to Maria. I'm like, hey, I have one of these in the basement.
Would we pay $100 for that?
It was a charitable donation to Omaze, and you got that for free. Yeah.
But what was I don't think the donation had to be that big.
I think it was like $100 or $125. Yeah.
I'm curious to see how much that goes for.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, by the time this podcast releases, the last day of the auction's happening, but I'm going to be curious to see what some of this stuff goes for. Just out of morbid curiosity, like Princess Leia's gown, they're estimating could go up to $2 million.
$1 to $2 million. That is
the clown from Poltergeist is a big deal in there. The Field of Dreams glove, the Blade Runner, Deckard's. I mean, there's some really key stuff. I mean, they have the usual.
Stuff, but the prices are just ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's plenty of hoverboards and Star Trek costumes and whatever. But I
got my eye on a couple things. I don't know if I'm bidding on anything.
I have the actual catalog, the physical catalog here, and it's like heavier than any phone book I've ever. Yeah. It's enormous.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
You know who else is enormous? Fanboy Collectibles. I don't know why. Check them out. This week, new stuff. A very cool Ghostbusters Egon statue.
Quarter scale. That thing's massive.
Yeah, that looks cool. Their Present Toys police robot, which is basically Robert Patrick.
It looks so good, too.
It does look really good. There's a bunch of statues. Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, Skeletor. Where can you get all that stuff in one place? Pops and Sideshow and Hot Toys and everything you want. Check them out. FanboyCollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the Regular Joe sent you. Lots of good stuff. I got a couple things coming. I'm sure. I know Todd's got a million things coming.
I think we all do.
So let's. Okay. Did we say what we're talking about today?
I don't think we did. No.
We're gonna finish up the superhero movies list. We got people coming out of the woodwork wanting copies of the list, or one of our friends.
Yeah, one of our friends asked for it.
It's so interesting to everybody. But yes, Brian, please send us your rankings. Then we're going to talk about Strange New Worlds. We've seen the first 2 episodes. Spoilers. And then whatever.
Yeah.
I still am happy that Star Trek is doing totally standalone episodes. You know, it's just the dragging on of Discovery for 10 episodes of a story that's just too long. I'm glad they're doing this.
And they're not classically standalone. I mean, they are. You know, there's continuing threads throughout, but it's unique storylines that are wrapped up.
Yeah.
And I think they found the perfect balance of needing that. You had the first episode, which was, which basically the captain left to go do something for the second episode.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, which by the way, Anson Mount, congratulations. He actually was not in that episode because of the birth of his child.
Okay.
Yeah, they purposely wrote him out of that episode so that he could go take time off to be with his baby.
Yep. So, though that was probably a while ago now. But anyways, the kid's in college. But it's yeah. So
they both felt like Star Trek episodes, like that they would have done
very
in
much
TOS,
exactly.
right?
The I would say the second one in particular.
Court martial.
Well, the second one was like Court Martial or Measure of a Man.
27.
They did this Measure of a Man. They've done the courtroom thing a number of times, and I really like that episode. I got to say, I think
it's a little preachy for my taste.
It's a little preachy, but the ultimate justification and how they came around to it. So we have this thing. In recent years, they've got him. All the Starfleet higher ups have to be bad guys. Okay, they got to be total tight asses, and that justifies Kirk and Pike and whoever else bending and breaking the rules and whatnot. But here it was. They took their own regulations, and I also you got to think like in the wake of the war that they're just coming out of. Everyone's probably like very, very uptight. They've also lost a huge amount of their officer corps. So probably the best and the brightest aren't sitting in those chairs at Starfleet. But I like this. I like the justification that they ultimately came around and essentially, made it that she was being granted asylum. I think they did a really good job.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I have two thoughts. One, there was no way that they were going to use it as a way of like just saying, "Oh, guess what? We're going to change our rules, and it's going to be okay to be."
Yeah,
augmented.
It was a good loophole.
But to me, it felt like, and I understand why they did it as early in the season as they did because they wanted to get Una back on the ship. But this felt to me like it should have been 3/4 of the way through a season type of episode, and not like all right, the first episode was the first episode. This kind of, for me, slowed the whole season down to have.
But I felt there was
episode.
time between this and since she was arrested.
I also felt like one of the things that I feel like this kind of acknowledged Star Trek for what it is. I like when the defense attorney is bringing up Robert April's career, where basically he's done the same thing that Pike's done and Kirk has done. It's like, oh, you've got General Order 1. And here's where you broke it. This is your first rule. And this time. So it's like we've always had this whole idea that like, oh, Kirk was the first person that ever broke the rules. No, it's not, and because we're seeing that with Pike. And when you're out there, you do what you have to get by, and also doing the right thing doesn't necessarily mean that you're always following what's in the rule book. And like I felt like we had Starfleet that felt like Starfleet in that they were, they found their justification to keep her without, changing canon so that things that happened later couldn't happen.
I didn't get what her modification is. I mean, did they ever dig into that?
Not really.
The whole thing is they can't have any genetically altered people in Starfleet. Yeah. And hers was that's their sort of species tradition, and it was a little confusing.
I kind of thought the angle they were going to go for was like a cultural thing, where it's basically you're discriminating against my culture.
Yeah.
And that was the angle I thought they were going to go. But the asylum thing has actually a lot of history in the different series, and I think that leaning on that was actually a good idea. So
I also liked that the entire crew was watching it through like a view screen and not like in the courtroom, and that to me felt like it felt more like court martial.
Yeah,
and I liked that it felt like that there was precedence for that, and because I could just as easily seen Pike be in the room with them, and the fact that he wasn't, I think, was actually better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
And then the first one was good, fun. You got the Klingons. You had some fights. You had some blood wine. It was a throwaway episode, but fun.
It was. I mean, it was a little unrealistic what happened with the Doctor and the Nurse Chapel at the end, but I'll give it a pass.
I don't even remember it, to be honest with you.
They went out into space without any spacesuits, and
everybody does that. Star-Lord does it.
Star-Lord does it because he's a son of a whatever.
Everybody's done that.
Yeah. So it's.
But he's a doctor, so we knew. The poor people on that space show on Apple for All Mankind didn't work for them.
No, it didn't. I will say this is a different Nurse Chapel, and we knew this from last season, but this is a different Nurse Chapel than we got in TOS. This one's a badass.
She's a badass. I like her character. I do.
I do too, and I feel like not that. I guess we're seeing the early Uhura, we're seeing the early Spock. I don't know who else we're seeing. The Mbenga we've seen but like she's a commander, which is odd. And I hear that. Is that thunder?
Yeah.
Is that your house?
And
Doc?
she's almost like a throwaway character in TOS, but it's good they sort of upped her.
I like what they're doing with her. I also watched a few videos today, recaps and stuff, where it seems like the Star Trek YouTubers are not happy so far with the way that Spock is being treated in these two episodes. But just that they were complaining that they feel like they don't understand the character of Spock, and maybe it's just because it's supposed to be early in Spock.
It is early Spock, and he's a very different Spock. Spock was a very different Spock in the pilot episode too. So, yeah,
I think he's sort of very stiff, unemotional, but is funny and doesn't know it.
Okay,
and I got that from regular Spock.
Okay, so this is something I actually thought about a couple weeks ago. So you make Spock first officer. Who is Spock's model for first officer?
Now Una.
He is a lot more like her personality outwardly, professionally, than he is like the character he is right now. Okay, He's much more matter of fact. He's much more and I think that's what we see. I think he is basically, he's going to be more dispassionate and more, and the Vulcan stuff plays into that. But I think they're having a little fun with him, and I think that's fine. I would like the ship to go now, as opposed to actually.
That is like the stuff from TOS where Spock was funny and he was the only one who wasn't laughing.
Yes,
kind of stuff. So.
Exactly,
that's true.
And I don't have a problem with that. I love the callback to the Q&A episode of Short Treks, the Gilbert and Sullivan thing.
Yeah,
where she made him promise that she would not that she didn't know the words that Gilbert and to Pirates of Penzance. And yeah, no, it's I'm enjoying it. I like it a lot. I like seeing Klingons who kind of really look like Klingons, and act like Klingons. Yeah, it's.
No, it's good. I'm waiting for the season to really pick up.
We
I don't feel like we're there
it.
yet, but it's it's night and day ahead of I hate to keep beating on
Discovery sucks.
But Discovery really sucked, and I really didn't like the first two seasons of Picard. So I'm coming off of Picard season 3, which was excellent.
They'll take a tax write-off on season whatever of Discovery.
Season 5 of Discovery, yeah.
But we're liking it. If you're not watching it, watching. The first season was good. This season is good. Barry, you're right. That was only 10 minutes. You want to do What's in the Box? Let's break it up with some What's in the Box.
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Barry, what's in the box?
I'll go first. So, you both know I like a good souvenir. You take me someplace and I have a good time, I like a good souvenir. I'm wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. The thing I like when you go to certain concerts is that sometimes they'll have things that are event specific. So like you go see a band and you see them on tour and they sell the same t-shirt in every city, but there are certain bands that'll do a unique poster for every show or a unique shirt for every show. This shirt isn't my What's in the Box, but happens to be an Iron Maiden shirt where it's the Staten Island Ferry. It was like a New York show.
Oh, that's cool.
But I saw Springsteen a couple months ago. I think I told you guys about it. One of the things that they were selling at the show was an event poster that was specific to that concert that I was at. But, like, I don't know why they do this. They sell a poster, but they don't sell anything to keep the posters in to get them home and get them safe. So I knew that if I had bought it, it would have been trashed by the time I got it home. Turns out that the artist that's doing all the posters for their tour is also selling artist proofs of each poster through his website. I randomly stumbled across it on Twitter. So I had emailed the guy and said, if you're going to have any posters from the show I was at it in New York at Belmont Park, I would want one. So he said, okay. And then he actually messaged me when he said, I've got my artist proofs in stock. Apparently what they do is they give him the first 10 of every print run, and they're all numbered.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. When he said artist proof, I just assumed it was a separate run or whatever. So I paid him, and it turned out I didn't even know. This guy's in Europe, so it took a while for the poster to get here. So this is my Springsteen poster.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did you have it Did you have it framed?
I had it framed, yeah.
Oh,
I bought it at Hobby Lobby. It's a cheap frame, but
Yeah, that's a cool poster, though.
Each poster has got the date of the event, and it's all the same guitar, but the pickguard of the guitar is unique for each venue. So this is Belmont Park. It's like a horse track or whatever. The really interesting thing, though, is, I got it in the mail, and I knew how many. I think it's 500 posters they made or whatever. I get it, and it's numbered 1 of 500. So I actually emailed the artist back, because we had been emailing, and I said, I'm just curious. I got number 1 of 500. Is that just tell me it's 1 of 500, or is this literally the number 1 of the run? He said, no, my artist proofs are the first 10, and you got the first one. So I got number 1 of 500.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which doesn't mean anything to a lot of people,
but that's cool, though.
It's cool.
And,
so,
obviously it meant something to you because you reached out to the guy and all that kind of stuff, and it was good that the guy.
Yeah, so I was super excited when I finally got it. It took a little while to get here, but, I've got posters from 2 of the Foo Fighters concerts I've been to. I have this one, so nice little display going on in my music area in my basement, so... That's what's it came in a tube, not a box, but that's what's in the box.
That's what's in the tube.
Yes, Todd, what do you got?
Okay, so this is a from Iron Studios. This is a Moon Knight statue. Okay, it's about maybe 13 inches tall, standing on a little pillar. Very, very cool. It's made of polystone, like statues are made of. I like it. I really like Moon Knight, and so I thought this was really cool. But if you don't like Moon Knight as much as I do, and you want a Moon Knight statue, you could also, instead, you could get this, okay, which is, this is from Diamond, and Troy has both of these. It's a third the cost of the other one, and this is actually really, really cool. He's in kind of a crouch, also on kind of a pillar, but this is like an Egyptian pillar. And for the money, this is actually a really, really good statue. It's done really well. They captured the different levels of the color and the gray and the whites in his suit. And
he's not an easy character because he's so monochromatic.
Yeah, he's monochromatic, but there's also a ton of detail in the sort of wrappings. Okay, because his uniform, as they represented it, was kind of like Egyptian wrappings, and there's just, like I said, a ton of detail there. And they did a really good job with it on both these figures. So both these statues, I'm pleased with both of them. And pictures are coming out of the Hot Toys figures, so that should be soon.
Yeah, I saw that picture. It looks really good. I mean, as Hot Toys figures tend to do.
Yep. So, Dave, what do you got?
Okay. Long overdue. On January 12th, because I checked it, I ordered the Hasbro Black Series Indiana Jones from the Temple of Doom in the tuxedo.
Oh, that's cool. Does it come with accessories?
But the funny thing is, so it's so weird with Target. So I ordered 2, and every single month since January, I get a charge from Target. And I always look at it, and then a few days later it disappears. So I guess they just keep charging until it comes out, because it's not like they charge me 6 times. they keep on. And then I was at a Target I was traveling for the weekend, just driving, and they had it there. So I had seen it in London. I sent you guys pictures. They had it in London. It was a Target exclusive. So I bought 2 and I came home and canceled it. And then ironically, Barry was at a Target and said, "Hey, do you need Indiana Jones in the tuxedo?" But I had just gotten it like the day before. So
What's
the
crazy
reason
is
I
feel compelled to buy one because you own the freaking.
Did you buy one or no?
I didn't, no, but I almost did.
I
So
think
he
I want
comes
one.
with the chicken skewers. Here they are. Here is him holding the chicken skewers.
That is brilliant.
So for anybody who hasn't listened to every episode, Dave actually owns the chicken skewer from Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. I bought them in a prop store auction a couple years ago. It's interesting because the tuxedo jacket is rubber, so it's made to give it a little movement. I mean, it's fun. There's a lot of articulation on these. His neck and everything moves. It's okay. And then, so you get that, and then the accessories. I had to put them in a bag because they're so tiny. If you can see this, I know this is great for audio. This is the peacock diamond right here.
Not child-safe, people.
There's the urn of Nurhachi. There's the sword that he cuts the big gong down, and then there's the little antidote vial right there. Yeah, they come with all that stuff.
So are you going to
display him
one
with
of
the
them?
chicken skewer?
I was going to say, pose it on top of your display.
I guess I should, right? I mean, yeah, that was the plan. That's why I bought 2. Unfortunately, he has a gun finger. You know, that's the only finger he's got.
They didn't retool the hand.
I think that's a skewer finger. I don't know. I think you're misinterpreting that.
But it's funny, Hasbro. You know, they're totally out of the plastic game. And then I just found this interesting because you guys have bought maybe more Black Series stuff than I have, but everything's in a paper bag now.
Yeah. Yep.
But even the paper bag has got like a little map, you know, like an indie kind of.
Oh, that's
cool.
It's clever, you know.
Yeah,
I have bought like 5 or 6 year old Marvel Legends figures where when I took them out of the packaging, there's been some transfer, and I don't mind it not being packaged with plastic. I think putting a painted object in against plastic early on in the process is hazardous, and I think as long as the quality stays up there, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I when Dave bought that prop from the movie, I mean, it's awesome that he's got something from an actual Indiana Jones movie, but it is a somewhat obscure thing. Now the fact that there's an action figure with it as an accessory just makes me very happy. It's
pretty funny. Yeah, and the interesting thing, so, like, again, I don't... So there was a bunch of figures. Like, in this series, there's six figures. This one, I think, is the only Target exclusive. It doesn't even say it on the box. I know it is. Yet, when I went to the Target, there were at least 4 of these, and then, what's her face? Phoebe Waller or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Her character was the only other one. So, it's definitely a peg hanger.
So for somebody who wants an actual, like, Indiana Jones in the traditional garb, couldn't get one of those, but you can get the one in the tuxedo.
Yeah, what did your Target have?
They had 2 of those with the chicken skewers hanging there in the tuxedo, and a few carded figures, but that was it.
Oh, but what about in terms of this?
No,
series?
They didn't have any other Black Series.
I know, so that's a little weird. Maybe they're all selling out, but I would probably buy maybe the regular Indiana Jones.
I want to see the movie, and if I like the movie, I would consider getting just the 6-inch figure of him. But
the old Indiana
older
Jones.
Indy, yeah.
What are you showing us, Todd?
I am showing you that I also have an action figure wearing with a prop.
Oh!
I
yes.
actually own the original. I own an original of, because that's the right side. Yep, and then you own that one. So you need to get a.
Whose is that? What figure is that?
That's Black Widow from the movie that our guns came from.
Oh, is it Legends or
what's that?
No, that's Hot Toys.
Hot Toys.
Oh,
I'm
that's
saying,
Hot
but there's
Toys?
a Marvel. That's but there's a. You should get the Marvel Legends figure to represent that. Too.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So
yeah, this one's. It's funny. Tote, and they supposedly Tote owned. That's the guy who burned his hand with the thing. I supposedly, like a lot of Star Wars, only got his name when he got an action figure. Now he's Major Arnold Tote. Now he's got a whole rank and a first name.
That's crazy.
Anyway, I'm glad I got that with my chicken skewers.
It's a collectible of a collectible.
A collectible of a collectible. I also got Hot Topic has a Indiana Jones T-shirt, so I did get an Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom T-shirt. I just wanted something simple with the logo. I was telling Todd. So on the site they have Temple of Doom with this logo. They have Crystal Skull with this logo. Not getting that. And they have the new movie with
not
this
Raiders
logo.
of the Lost Ark.
Not Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I'm hesitant to buy the new movie. I do remember buying the Crystal Skull T-shirt and wearing it after I saw the movie, and someone's like, "Oh, new Indiana Jones, how was it?" And I'm like, "It wasn't that great."
and I did see the T-shirt you mentioned when I was at Target, but it might be for somebody, but it's not for me.
I bought it just to buy it. I don't know if I'll even keep it, but I just wanted something to wear to the. I probably will wear my French one to the movie. And sorry, Todd, I didn't give you yours yet, but we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see.
All right,
it's good.
45 minutes in. Let's start the list.
Oh, the list! I totally forgot. Let's go to the list. I'm like, oh, we're done. We're not done.
Yeah, well, we could be, but we're not.
No, we're going to the list. It won't take that long. We're fine. Okay. So, Todd will read through the list. We left off at 2017's Justice League.
Okay. So, number 60 in our list from 2017 is Logan.
Directed by James Mangold.
Yes.
I gave it a 7.5.
I gave it a 7.5.
I gave it a 9.
Really?
I remember Todd liking it more
freaking love
than
this
we did.
film. I do. I've seen it
The
3
third
times
act
now.
fell apart for me.
I've seen it 3 times now. I really, really like the film. I think again, they did a great job taking all the crap in the past, throwing away what they didn't need, and stripping it down. And I think it's Patrick Stewart's best performance as Professor X. And
I remember liking it, but I've never been compelled to go back and watch it.
I am in the same boat. I found it depressing at times. It was good.
It is definitely depressing. I watched the black and white version. And
how about the director's cut?
I did not watch the director's cut. I watched the black and white version. He wanted to do it and release his black and white, and the studio wouldn't do it. And it's beautiful in black and white. So, anyways, I said. So then let's see. Then we go to Spider-Man Homecoming.
The first Spider-Man.
Yep.
The first new Spider-Man in like 6 months. No. 8.5.
8.
I also gave it an 8.
It's great. I mean, they totally...
8's a great rating, so I don't want it to seem like, that's a low rating. It's a high rating, but... Yeah, I love him as Spider-Man. I think that he's probably my favorite Spider-Man.
I think so.
I think
to have how many Spider-Mans? There are 5 Spider-Man movies before this, all within 15, 17 years.
And there's a reason
the previous
for that.
ones not that long ago, and they really hit the nail on the head.
And they did something very different with this, and I will say it's probably, you're going to be surprised by this, but it's one of the reasons that I mark it down just slightly, is it's very Tony Stark dependent. The plot very much centered on that relationship. And they use that later, but for his first film, it could have been more him.
But that was also when they were hitting it on all cylinders and interweaving all their movies so
again,
well.
It's great. It's just, like I said, I just found that a really, really interesting choice with a Spider-Man film. So
if the trade-off was getting that versus seeing Uncle Ben die yet again, I would take the Tony Stark of it all.
I totally agree that too. I do.
No, they did a great job, and Tom Holland's great. Zendaya is great. That other kid, whatever his name is great.
Yep.
Aunt May was good too. I liked her.
Aunt May's great.
Aunt May was great.
Yeah.
she was much better than her fruitcake was it? Is that what whatever it was she made that was disgusting? Next we have Thor Ragnarok.
I gave that an 8.5.
I did as well.
8.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
The best Thor movie?
The best Thor film by far.
By a considerable margin. Not considerable, but
for me,
definitely
it's probably
by a
the most
points.
Enjoyable and most fun, but I still really
solid
do like the
story.
original.
Doesn't
now,
lag.
And now, honestly, the most perplexing. I just, I guess it was lightning in a bottle, but we'll talk about that later. We'll
really
talk about that later.
Have been.
Okay. Next one, also from 2017, the last film from 2017, which I will rate higher than both of you, Wonder Woman.
10. No.
This 8. one goes to 11. I give it an 8.5.
I gave it a 9.
Yeah, I can see all that. It's good, solid.
It's really good.
It's a little draggy, but okay. I'll ask this question again: the best DC movie ever made?
Maybe.
I'm asking Todd really because he gave it the highest.
Of this era. I mean, the best. Are you saying the best Snyderverse movie?
I don't use that terminology. I'm not familiar with it.
I'm saying if you
post the best in this incarnation of DC.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, okay.
It stands on its own better than anything else. And
I could see. I could even give it an 8.5, perhaps.
Yeah, it does. They made the changes they made for all the right reasons. They did a terrific job establishing the character, and again, totally perplexing, but we'll deal with that later.
And amazing casting. She was fantastic.
She was fantastic. He was great. They really made it work, and I was dubious about it, and they pulled it off really.
I can
really
see
well.
that. You know, I'm changing my number on the fly. I just changed like 3 of them. I'm going 8.5.
Okay.
Nice.
Then in going to 2018, first of several films, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
7.
7.5.
I also did 7.5. So, and I went back and forth.
Solid.
I went back and forth between the two. I really did. I just she almost lost points for her hair, Barry, but
no, her hair was good in this one.
Hair was okay in this
I'm
one.
Kidding. This is the only one where she had good hair by Barry's standard.
Yes.
I like that movie a lot. My problem is I can't give everything an 8 or an 8.5 that I really like,
I
and I
agree.
like it a little bit
it's
less.
It's not
than,
as good. That's why I'm changing things on the fly.
Yeah.
Is it as good as Wonder Woman?
No, it's
no.
not.
Right.
Is it as good as Thor Ragnarok? Slightly
okay.
not.
I will also say this. It's really, really hard to rate sequels versus the first outing on something like this. I think it is easier once you have all the characters established and you've got everything laid out for you to go and run with it, but also more baffling when they just totally screw the pooch. The next one from this year is Aquaman.
I gave that a 7, which I may question.
I did too, and it's a soft 7.
I'd say a soft 7. Only it gets extra points for not being bad. Because you went in there thinking Aquaman, Aquaman gets a bad rap.
It was not as disappointing as I expected.
It's not as disappointing as you thought it was going to be. It's probably a 6, 6.5.
I think it's probably a 6.5 that gets points for
since we've been talking for as we've done the last 2 movies. I've changed my number on Aquaman 4 times.
Really, where are you at right now?
I had it at 7.5. And I lowered it to 7, and I raised it back up, and I just lowered it back down.
That's funny.
What are you at now?
I'm at 7.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think I may have been 7.5, and I lowered it to 7, but it's still good. It's watchable.
Other than Wonder Woman, it may be the most fun and most standalone DC movie.
And there's a couple things that just don't work in there, but they're minor.
It's got the third act problem.
And I'll tell you,
the third act is a little all over the place.
But it's it's a watchable underwater film, and that's hard to do. It really is. Okay, they did a good job with that.
And we grew up with a version of Aquaman from the Super Friends.
Super Friends.
This was a reimagining of who Aquaman was, and I think that they did a good job. And I think they found a good actor with Momoa for that character.
Yeah, no, I think so too. It was a completely different direction, but it was I give him props for that. Okay, next film, Avengers: Infinity War.
I'll jump in. 9.5.
Also
9
9.
point.
I'm also 9.5.
Yeah,
Really, across
Solid,
the board.
Yes.
I watched an hour of it yesterday on TBS.
It was on this. I was watching while we were eating dinner just now.
So good.
I love how
Get this man a shield.
Yes.
Cap is so badass in when they fight on that train platform. Love that.
Yeah.
That's when you really. I felt like that's when you really get a sense of how powerful Cap is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just in that he catches that thing from that otherworldly being, and he's just badass. It's great.
And there's just so many little moments in that movie, like even when they're fighting in the big battle at the end, and Rocket's fighting with Bucky, and he's like, "I'll get that arm."
Yeah, it's like how much for the arm? Oh yeah,
I'll get that arm.
And you know, if me and Pam watch this, and we both love Rocket, all his sort of mumbling is hysterical.
It's
He
great.
is-
I actually have my
so
Hot
good.
Toys. I've shown you guys. I have my Hot Toys Bucky figure holding Rocket at arm's length while Rocket's shooting while he's shooting at his other arm. I just love that. The spin,
That
basically
sequence was great.
using Rocket as a turret, as a gun turret, was just
But
awesome.
Rocket's the best. He's so funny in this.
And yeah, no, I thought that's absolutely terrific.
That may be the best Marvel movie ever.
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
I know.
You
For
gave
me.
Winter Soldier a 10, though.
No, I know, but Winter Soldier exists can exist on its own. Infinity War can't, but
Okay, how about this? How about team movie? Is that the best
it's-
Marvel?
it's-
I think we got to get through a couple.
No,
more
I'm just
before we can
saying
have that
because
discussion.
I think that's where because it's hard to judge this against an Iron Man or something like that or yeah.
Let's have that discussion after, or at least in a couple of things.
Okay, Black Panther.
I give it an 8. I like it, but I know I don't like it as much as some other
7.5.
people do.
I like it too. It could be an 8. I mean, it's good.
I gave it an 8.5. So
Okay, fair enough.
I think that's slid too. I do. I think
It's not rewatchable the way Infinity War, Guardians
I
of the
will
Galaxy,
agree with that.
Endgame,
Yep.
Avengers
Yep.
is.
Because
Not
it's a little heavier. It doesn't have
It's
as
a
much
little
humor.
heavier. I will tell you. The other thing too is, but I also feel like they did a great job establishing that character, and just did very.
They
good.
did, and it's a great score or whatever but we just went through like quickly off the top of our heads 3 good Infinity War little segments of multiple. There's nothing, at least off the top of my head, that stands out.
Yeah.
In Black Panther. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it's just not one of those I could watch it every single day kind of movies.
Yep. Then this was a heavy year. Deadpool 2.
I don't even remember it, to be honest with you. I didn't give it a number.
You didn't? Oh, okay. I give it a 7.
I gave it a 7.5. I liked it. I think they did some fun stuff. I love the spoilers. I love the getting the team together thing and then killing them all
I've seen it.
It was
I don't
just
remember
brilliant.
anything
It's
about
like
it.
it was absolutely fantastic. They're just so wrong. They're awesome. Okay. Last film from 2018, Venom.
I give it a 6.5.
I've never seen it.
It's a fun movie.
Is it? I've never seen it.
It's actually better than it deserves to be.
I gave it a 6. I just don't. I just did not click with that movie. I dozed off at points during it. I had to rewatch it afterwards.
I think I'm just traumatized by the suit from Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
That I can't watch this.
You should take it on its own merits, though. It's not.
No, I'll watch it.
It's
sort
not
of
the Venom
one
from
of the-
Spider-Man.
yeah.
I mean, look, it's not high art by any stretch of the imagination, but it's. I actually thought. Well, we'll talk about the other one, but I thought it was actually a decent movie. It's not bad.
Yeah.
And but fun. And that was probably why I gave it a higher mark than it even deserves, because it's fun.
Okay. So then, let's see, getting into 2019, Avengers Endgame.
I give that a 10.
I give it a 9. I like Endgame slightly less than I like Infinity War.
I agree. I also give
Really?
I gave it a 9.
Love Infinity War, but I feel like
if I did
Endgame
not
is
give
just...
Infinity War 9.5, I could have given it. I can't give it the same mark as as Infinity War. And
I just think there's more stakes. There's more going on. There's so much happening. I think it's the... Is it the first or only movie I cried in?
still,
Although,
it's,
no, I
it's
cried
still,
in Guardians
it's still a little
3.
raw for me.
Yeah, and you know what? I just thought that they set up Endgame so well in Infinity War, and look, I'm giving it a 9, so I'm not saying I didn't love it, but I didn't necessarily feel like it hit every mark it needed to hit as a payoff.
Really? That's interesting.
See, I could probably give them both a 9.5. I could do that. I can give them both a 9.5. They're just very different films, and they're extremely different films. And one is, very spread out and very late, and the other is just kind of tense. And one's going from one scene to the next, to the next, to the next,
But the way they pulled off the culmination of so much stuff and did it.
They hit the landing, no doubt. I mean, look, I'm giving it a 9. I'm giving it almost the highest mark you can give a movie. But
I think I'm just looking. It's the second movie I've given a 10.
I think Infinity
only two
War.
10s
I
on
think
this.
Infinity War is more Russo brothers, okay, and this is just a bigger kind of scopy thing with all these different things crammed in together.
Yet they manage it.
They manage it. They do. They do. It's just
there's so much jam. Cap with Thor's hammer.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
Is
There are
an extra
moments in
point.
there that are as great as anything from ever in the series. Okay, but there's also a lot of time spent doing other things. And
the girl power moment lost 5 points for me.
Well, okay, the girl power moment.
I give you that. I'll give you that. To me, off the top of my head, that's the only
miraculously
spot
surviving
that's like,
the collapse of the Avengers thing, and like they clearly had to find something for everybody to do in this movie, which was not the case in the previous one. It felt a lot more organic. This was at times you were like, oh, this is what they're doing, so they could do something with him.
I could put it back up to a 9.5 just because I just remembered the on your left moment, which I love.
That from the time that everyone the heroes return forward is just it's amazing, and I do cry, and it's it's
all right. I upped it to a 9.5. It's on
they're
par.
both
9.5s
9.5s for different reasons. I love my children all equally. Okay. 2019, Captain Marvel.
8.5.
I give it an 8, but I find it to be one of the most rewatchable movies, and I like it more and more every time I watch it. So I could probably see myself giving it a higher grade over time.
I've had that at a lower, and I've upped it.
And I'm at 8.5, and I could argue for 8 if you really wanted to. It's a smaller film, but it is one of those films that's better the more you watch it. It does really, really well.
And I love her in that role, and I know that there's a lot of hate for her on the internet.
Yeah, but
there is?
There is.
Oh yeah, no.
Why?
I don't know. I love her in that role. I think she's great.
I think we give way too
great.
much attention to a small number of douchebags. Okay.
Yes.
And any strong
That's the
female
internet.
character or out front female character, okay, gets that kind of stuff. And I think some people, I think we feed these trolls. I think by we give attention.
That's the Russians giving misinformation.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Okay.
It's bullshit. It is true. The internet has ruined this shit.
Samuel L. Jackson was commenting on this a couple of weeks ago about, how he had to encourage her to stay with it because she was so upset by all this kind of stuff. And I was kind of like, you are just feeding this shit, because these people, they are bullies. This is the modern version of your schoolyard bully. and letting them know that they're getting to you or that it profoundly bothered her is just fueling the next attack on the next person. And it's, So, okay. Then 2019, Shazam.
I gave that a 6.5.
I gave it a 6. I find it to be very unmemorable.
It's enjoyable to watch. It's better again. It's better than you thought it was going to be.
I gave it a 7, and I go back and forth between 6.5 and 7. I could make an argument for either. I think they took a character that had nothing going for it, and I think they made it something fun and
they had the right tone.
And they did.
I haven't been compelled to rewatch it ever. So
I've watched a couple parts of it. It's fun.
Maybe if I saw it again, but I've never felt like going back to rewatch it.
Yeah. 2019 Spider-Man: Far From Home.
8.
I'm going to give that I have an 8.5. I could go between an 8 and 8.5. Is it as good as the first one?
No.
It's actually, I don't know. It's actually pretty good.
It's very good. I just don't know that it's...
I'm just going with an 8.5.
I'm at an 8. Though I did like Night Monkey.
I just watched that last weekend and in 2 sittings, 2 different pieces, and it's pretty solid all the way through.
I got to go back and rewatch it. I got to say, I may have only seen that once.
I don't like that whole scene where Jake Gyllenhaal reveals himself, and they're like, "And thank you," and that drags for me. But
yeah, that whole end kind of thing is just.
But then it's solid after that.
Yeah. Okay. Going to another high point in first film of 2020, at least alphabetically. Brace yourself. Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
The longest title in superhero movie
history. It is. I had to reformat to get this title in here. Okay. So
I feel like I have to renumber, now that we're down this far, 2 other movies to be 2s, because this is a 1. This is the worst movie on this list.
Wow. I'm a little surprised.
See, you're bottom end. You were harder on the bottom end than I am. Okay, because I don't really know if anything other than the first Superman film got below a 3. I gave this a 3.
I'll tell you this. I rented it on demand for, it wasn't a lot of money, $6.
Yeah.
And turned it off. It was so bad. It's unwatchable.
I gave
in my opinion.
My grade, I think, is really shocking based on what you guys gave it, but I'm giving it a 5.5.
Okay, this may be the biggest disparity so far.
I think, despite Margot Robbie, who is cute and good and it's unwatchable.
Okay, so part of my problem with it is I know all these characters. None of these characters have anything to do with the characters they created for this movie. There's no correlation whatsoever. So it's like, we're
spending more time on this movie than we should.
It doesn't deserve it. Todd, unless I don't think it's well, maybe it does come up. Maybe I'm curious what everyone's. I'll hold that question for the end. Never mind. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. 2020 New Mutants.
Never saw it.
Never saw it, so I can't.
Go on.
Okay. On behalf of both of you, a 4. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. 2020 Wonder Woman 1984.
Wish I didn't see it.
I wish I didn't see it too, but I gave it a 4.5.
I also gave it a 4.5.
It's horrible.
It had moments, but it's bad.
What did you give it?
4.5.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so
I was not only was I so excited, we're in COVID. It was December. I decided to build my movie theater, and that was the first movie we were going to watch.
I'm surprised you didn't burn it down. Boy, is that the most precipitous drop off of any from
Probably. I've never seen it again. Has anyone watched it a second time?
Pieces.
Yeah.
A minute here, a few minutes there when it's been on TV, but I never stick with it.
I've never watched the second of it.
From X2 to Last Stand was a bigger plummet for me. But that was it. That's the only one where one movie to the next hit.
It's one of the biggest disappointments I have on this whole list, just because
Yeah, I would say
I
it's
agree.
one of the biggest disappointments.
Because the expectations were so much higher.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So then, also from going into 2021, Black Widow.
I give it a 7.
I gave it 7.5, and
I gave it a 7.5
once.
also.
Really? I thought you would have gone higher.
Honestly, I've rewatched it a couple
I'm not
times.
talking to you.
I've rewatched it a couple times. I can't go higher than that.
I'd like to watch it again.
I've seen it twice.
haven't.
It's solid, but certainly not the best Marvel movie, but not the
I really like
worst.
the relationship between the two of them, and I think that's the best thing in the movie. And I just can't put it with the other 8s. And so
Fair enough. I'm totally agreeable.
yeah. So okay, then we go the Eternals.
4.
3.5.
4.
Is that the worst Marvel movie? Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think
That's
it is.
arguable.
I think it might be.
I
hope so. Let's just say that.
Well,
if we're just
Hulk?
talking
Are we
hard
counting
Marvel,
Hulk?
there's X-Men Apocalypse. Anyway, okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, MCU.
Next week
I
we're
think-
going to recap things.
I think it's the worst MCU film.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
is
that's
the
what I'm
worst MCU film.
Okay. Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Sorry, I'm getting tired. Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings.
7.5.
Also 7.5.
Wow, I gave it a 5.
Really?
Really?
It's fun. I thought it was fun. Never seen it again, though.
I never watched it a second time, and I don't remember thinking it was amazing. So
I thought it was, again, it got an extra point because it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Really curious on this next one.
I could go to a 7 on it, though.
Yeah. I went 7.5. I think, like I said, I think they did everything they
I'm
needed
changing
to
it
do.
to a 7. I don't know why. This is only for my purposes. Go ahead, Todd.
understand. Spider-Man, No Way Home.
9.
7.5.
Really? What?
I didn't like it as much as Far From Home, and I didn't like it as much as...
What this is the one with all 3 Spider-Mans.
No, I know what it is. I've seen it.
I went 8.5.
I love that. And it's heavy. It's had
It is
consequences. Aunt May died. Spoilers.
Yep.
It was heavy duty. It's sad at the end, but it's.
But you have to keep in
solid.
perspective. 7.5 is a good movie. It's just not my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I understand.
You just didn't
I
like
understand.
Hot Aunt May dying.
Well, yeah, they shouldn't have killed her, but
Okay.
I want Happy to be happy.
This is true. Well, they were also kind of over at that point.
But they shouldn't have been.
The ending is sad. I could almost cry at the end of that movie. He's losing all his friends and everything. That's tough.
Honestly, if I'm being real,
I could go up a little, even one on that. I got to say, the things.
What are you at, Todd?
I'm at 8.5. Think about how well they used Alfred Molina, and I mean all the legacy characters that they brought back, and Willem Dafoe.
and I was just going to say, for me, they brought back too many. I didn't need Lizard. I didn't need Sandman.
but they
you
didn't
had little
overuse
bits and
them.
pieces of them.
They didn't overuse them. They
I agree with
Willem
that.
Dafoe was perfect. Yeah.
All right,
If
moving
they
on.
just
Sorry,
had
we can.
bringing in the 2 Spider-Mans, bringing in Doc Ock, and bringing in Willem Dafoe, that would have been enough. I like the movie, don't get me wrong, but I'm also, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge multiverse fan. So, to me, it was a little too much. And the Doctor Strange in that movie felt more like the actor and less like Doctor Strange. It felt... Something didn't feel quite right with the character.
That is the weak
there.
part of that movie, is the Doctor Strange characterization.
And just the fact that he could be distracted enough to break the freaking fabric of the multiverse. I don't know. Good movie. I like it.
Right.
Not my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Okay. The Suicide Squad. Not to be confused with Suicide Squad.
I know I'm going to be the low one here.
I give it a half a point more than Spider-Man No Way Home. I give it an 8.
I also gave it an 8.
I gave it a 6.5. I didn't like. I don't like how they handled the what's his face killing. But
you liked Ratcatcher too so much.
I love Ratcatcher. I do not like the big whatever starfish thing. That was stupid.
God, I thought that
and
was
I don't like
fantastic.
how they killed
Starro.
and how graphically
Starro
they
was
killed.
brilliant.
Joel Kinnaman or whatever his name is. But the movie is redeemed. I probably would have given it lower had I not liked Peacemaker so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Peacemaker redeems.
That's
Peacemaker.
the Barry K. rule.
No,
of-
because
or
he felt
retroactive.
he even said I
improvement,
killed.
yes.
What was the guy's name? Who did he kill?
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag. Yeah, that wasn't necessary. Anyway,
I think it was for his redemption arc. I really do.
maybe
Okay. Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
never saw it.
I give it a 6.
I never saw it. So
I like it a little bit less than Venom, but it was still actually a fun movie.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Going into 2022, The Batman,
7.5.
7.
8.5.
That all makes sense to me.
It
I've
does.
never seen it again. I need to see it. It's not something that I need to just.
So Dave and I saw it together, and then I've seen it once since then.
I've never, but it's it's not a gotta watch it. It's you gotta sit down and watch the whole thing, and it's heavy duty. I'm not 7.5. It's a good score. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
But you know what
Moving
I
on.
will say, especially when you go through the list like we're doing over the last 3 episodes. And again, this is my personal feeling. I want these movies to tie together, and I'm not as big of a fan of something that's completely standalone.
And
You're what's
this
wrong
is-
with this universe.
I feel the reverse. I feel like this is a character that needed to get rescued from all the baggage, and I needed to have a Batman movie that I could feel okay about, and I didn't want the best current Batman universe movie to be the Joker. So, yeah.
I think the Flash is being hurt by that idea. It doesn't need to tie in anyway.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Black Adam.
5.
3.5.
Jeez. I did 5.5.
Really, it's fine.
Will you ever watch it again? Ever?
No, God, no.
Right.
Maybe, okay.
So-
Maybe it's going down to 5.
5. I thought we had agreed 5 means you might
Oh,
watch
no,
it
it's
again.
5.5. A 6, I'll watch up to a 6. I'll watch up to a 6. Or
For
I
me,
won't
a 5
watch.
is at least I
Okay.
might watch it
Yep.
again.
Yeah. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Or Wakanda Forever.
6.
7.
6.5.
No,
Okay.
yeah, not great.
Yep. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And I know I like this better than both of you.
I
I
also
gave
gave
it a 7.5. I don't even know if it deserves that.
I gave it a 7, and I've never seen that one again either.
Me neither.
I gave it a 7.5.
Okay, I'm going to lower mine to a 7.
Morbius.
Didn't see it.
I saw it on a tablet and it was pitch black. It's probably I gave it a 4. I don't even know why. It's probably a 3.
I gave it a 5. I rate higher
Did
than
you?
you. On the lower end, I rate higher than you do. I gave it a 5, and that's probably generous.
Yeah.
Thor, Love and Thunder.
6.
I feel like my 4.5 is generous.
Oh,
You
wow.
gave it a 6?
Wow.
Yeah, I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 5.5.
Oh, it's awful. It's unwatchable.
I don't think it's unwatchable.
I don't think it's
It's not
unwatchable.
unwatchable.
I think it's disappointing.
It's incredibly disappointing.
I think it's a huge letdown from the, particularly for the same creative team.
But when I look at my grades across other things I gave a 6 to, I gave 6 to Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I gave 6 to Shazam. To me, it's no worse than those movies.
I agree. I agree.
Would you give the regular Thor?
The very first Thor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was weaker on that than you guys were. I gave that a 7.
I gave it a 7.5.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think this is worse than Dark World even. It's just horrible. Anyway.
Natalie
that's just-
Portman looked
Okay.
good. And I can't give it a 5. 4.
Okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Quadrophenia. I give it a 6. I give it the same grade as Thor: Love and Thunder.
5.5.
6.5.
I would. Now we're getting on things that are so recent that I have not had an opportunity to rewatch them.
But are you compelled to? I am not compelled to watch Quantumania again.
Not really.
I will certainly not watch Love and Thunder again.
Yeah.
I have actually watched Love and Thunder already a second time.
Ugh.
Really?
Sorry.
And how long did they hold the gun to your head?
Worse?
It's like,
it's on Disney Plus. It doesn't cost anything, so I put it on and I ran
still.
it. He's into Lady Thor. That's all.
It's the goats, really.
It's all the goats.
Freaking remember how? What's his face? Batman's character. What's his name?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Oh, what a waste of Christian Bale. That character is just awful.
I agree.
Anyway.
Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I gave that a 9.5. And that may be a little high. I'm not sure.
That's a little high. I give it an 8.
I went 8.5.
It could be a 9. I'm going to change it to a 9. I love it. I
got to see it again. It's right now. It's like the heavy parts are weighing a lot on me.
Yeah, but it's
me
heavy.
Too, and that's why I feel like I liked it a lot. I want to see it again.
It's just well done.
Yeah.
I will say it's the closing chapter Marvel movie you can walk away from and be okay with it. Okay? And I think that's counts for something because
they stuck the landing on it for sure. I just want to see it again.
Yeah.
When I have, when you're seeing it for the first time, you don't know what's coming, everything hits you a certain way. I want to be able to see it again knowing the full context and
Yep. Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Am I the only one who's seen it?
Dave, this is all on you.
It's free now, and I chose not to watch it. So.
I gave it a 6.5. That's probably high. I give it. It's fine. Mary Marvel alone is worth a 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that it's free, I'll watch it just for her. But
it's fine. It's okay. It's a 6. That's
okay. So the last.
And we did the Flash last week. Is anyone or whenever?
I probably slid 0.5 since last week.
I'm 8, maybe an 8.5. I got to see it again. It's good.
I went from 8.5 to 8.
And I'm still at 8.
Yep.
There you go. Okay. Even despite what's the worst movie on this list? And that's tough.
Superman 4.
No, that doesn't even count.
Well, it does. It does.
It's too new. It's too old.
It was epically bad for its time.
My lowest rating are the Hulk, which probably I would change to a 2. I think that Harley Quinn thing is probably the most unwatchable.
Yeah, I Catwoman, Green Lantern.
Green Lantern I would watch because I like Ryan Reynolds and it's kind of a goof. I've watched that again. Not that I'm wanting to watch it, but
if you discount Hulk, I've got Batman and Robin at 1.5.
That's
I got it at
nonsense.
I got it at 3.5.
I've got Fantastic Four at a 2.
Now, does Batman and Robin move up because, spoilers, George Clooney is now in the new movie?
No.
It should.
No.
It doesn't.
What's probably X-Men 3, I have it as a 1.5. It's the most, it's could potentially done the most damage to something good.
Thankfully, they recovered from it.
I have that I think I have that as a 3.5. So
I have it as a 1.5.
I have it as a 2.
Anyway, all right. We've wasted enough of your time and our time.
No, I think this is interesting. Every once in a while, I go back, and the thing is, you got to judge these things based on comparison to other things, but it's tricky because, again, some of these things. Do a standalone character film is a very different prospect than doing something like, Infinity War. Okay, where you got 30 characters on the board and you got to keep them all doing something. So
Well, and if you look at the last 10 Marvel movies compared to the first 10 or 20 movies, look at how much harder it's been for them to build up to another big movie like that. Like, the fact that they did it and did it so well and had so few misses in with all those hits, and the fact that they stuck that landing, we may never see anything like that ever again.
I don't know if we will. I mean, I think the whole idea is they're trying to lead up to that, to something, Kang Dynasty or whatever it is, but you've kind of tripped on the way up. So it's not like Iron Man, Captain America, Winter Soldier, all these things, and then you kind of get the Infinity War and Endgame.
So what they've got to do is they've got to take the pieces that they've got, and they've got to do creative and interesting things with them. Potentially, Thunderbolts could be that. Okay? I'm very dubious of another Avengers film at this point with what we've got left for Avengers, but Thunderbolts could be really interesting. Thunderbolts is basically the Suicide Squad of the Marvel Universe.
But do they know that Thor and Ant-Man and... Do they know those kind of sucked? I don't know if they do.
Oh, I think they do. I think they do.
I think they base most of it on box office, and I'm not sure that they fully understand how those things have been.
Yeah,
maybe they do.
How? I mean, I don't know. Is it just us? We haven't. You're setting up 6 movies based on this character that is weak.
Do you
Kang?
Yeah. Do you think the people that made Morbius are looking at Craven the Hunter, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be amazing"? Boy, I don't get that.
Did you watch the trailer for that?
I haven't seen it.
It looks like an unwatchable movie to me.
That's kind of what I'm saying. And yeah. Any one of these characters would work with Spider-Man, but to make him a standalone character, I don't get that.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
Know.
It's just they're playing with the IP that they own.
Yeah.
So
anyway, okay.
All right. Well, look, I'm just impressed that we committed to do this and we stuck to it and we got all the way through it.
I'm just surprised that we didn't do it in one show. I didn't at the time. I didn't think it would take 3 shows to do it.
I knew it would never happen. I think my initial reaction was, "Oh, we should break it up," but yeah.
Okay. So I have one last question for you. I intentionally left a film off this list. Does any idea?
You left the Joker off this list.
I did.
I never saw it.
I wonder if any of you picked up on that. Either of you picked up on that.
I did, but now that you say it, yeah, it's glaring omission. I didn't love it, but
I don't think it's that character. I think other than the name and the appearance, it's not that. It's just. I don't think it's a. I don't think it's a comic book film. It's a different kind of thing entirely. So,
fine by me.
Yeah,
I can't think of another example like that.
It felt a lot more like Taxi Driver than it did.
Clearly, the Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy.
Yeah.
It was a fusion of those 2 things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Okay, next week, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
And we're gonna rate every Bond. No, I'm kidding.
We've done that already.
I know we have.
Ranked them. Just hopeful.
This was ambitious. That's this was a lot to take on. I am super hopeful and
I wish I was more. I feel like I wish I was more excited because here's a new Indiana Jones movie. We haven't had one, but the sort of trepidation of the whole process is sort of sucking that out of it a bit.
So, could we say we will know a week from now whether we'll know at the end of in just a few days whether with the Trek films the even ones don't suck. Every other indie film is good. That's possible.
That's what we're hoping for.
That's
and I have never agreed. I like Temple of Doom. I don't think it's a bad movie. It may not hold up to Raiders or Last Crusade.
Like Crystal Skull,
but it's not. Forgetting Crystal Skull, Temple of Doom's not a bad movie. I'm not going to allow you to say
it's not on par with the other 2. So
it's not.
It's not as bad as Crystal Skull.
Oh God, no. Nothing is as bad as Crystal Skull. So, yeah.
I don't know. I just hope it's good. I just feel like there's just too much baggage already that it's how can it live up to what it needs to? I don't know.
I mean, I said a year ago, I said that I really hoped it wasn't time travel, and I still stand by that. And I'm just hoping whatever
It's
time
time
travel
travel
element is in there, I just hope it's handled well enough that it doesn't, like, just bum me out.
I listened to I know we're trying to stop this thing. I listened to the podcast when they reviewed Crystal Skull. Some of them liked it. Like one really liked it. They definitely didn't like it as much as Raiders. But just them going over the it's just so bad. This has to be much better than it. You know.
It does, but in the same way that none of us were happy about the fact that it was aliens and a UFO at the end of the movie, like, I'm just hoping that they don't misuse time travel here.
But that's not even the worst part of it. And they were not aliens. They were interdimensional beings.
Whatever.
Which is such nonsense.
It was a flying saucer.
You know, I mean, I hate to say it, but the fact that George Lucas isn't involved in it, he makes bad decisions sometimes.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, okay, on that note, we'll be back in a week. Hopefully, we'll dissect this
Are
thing.
we going to be able to stay quiet amongst ourselves, or are we going to be texting Thursday night about this?
Remember when we've seen movies and had to get on to talk to each other that night. I wonder if we want to have a call. I wonder if we want to do
when
the show
Thursday night. When are you seeing
Thursday
it, Todd?
night.
Do you know when you're seeing it?
I could see it Thursday night.
Why don't we do it Friday?
We'll get back to you on this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm seeing it at 6:45. What time are you seeing it?
7:15 or something like that on Thursday.
Okay, so 7. How long is it?
Oh, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it Thursday night, but I could do it.
We've done it. Remember one of the
We've done
movies we got on
I
at
will
11
see you
o'clock
here
at night.
10 o'clock Thursday night, just for half an hour. Immediate post-game reactions, and then we'll do a full show.
Let me look at see exactly what time my showing is, because I think it might be a little bit later than that.
I'm looking too.
This
is post-show gold that we're...
Yeah. People, you can go now. It's okay.
Movies.
I want to see how long it is.
Purchases.
Ooh, 2 hours and 22 minutes.
My start time is 7:15, which means with trailers and everything, it doesn't start till 7:30, 7:40, 8:49. No, it's
my start time is
10:30. I'm not getting home till 10:30.
My start time is 6:15.
Yeah, we might have to record Friday night.
All right,
and we can do it over cocktails. If it goes poorly, we could do it over drinks. If it goes well,
that's right.
If it's bad, we may be too sad to even talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, let's play it by ear. Yeah. You never know. Anything's possible, people.
Okay. You've had enough of us, and we've had enough of each other. All right. Next week, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Could be sometime this week. And
maybe we'll talk about a few of the results of that big prop store auction next week, too.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.